Hey, welcome back. I'm your host, Johnny Freeborn. You're watching Central Valley Talk. And my next guest, you've been here before.
Yes, I have.
Remind me your name.
Brad Huff.
Brad Huff. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And you're with Student Nest, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, that's how I remembered you, Student Nest. So tell me about Student Nest again, in a nutshell.
Okay,
Give us a recap.
Okay, Student Nest, we're about 13 years old, lucky 13. The company was founded to provide online tutoring for students. We've tutored kids as young as kindergarten all the way through college. You might say college, and our clients there have been primarily teachers who wanted to get a master's degree, but they couldn't pass the educational statistics course.
Okay.
And so I've worked with those people and so on. But and also we have a contract with a university in another state to provide tutoring for their students in college courses and so on, physics and accounting and a wide variety of things. So basically, we can provide tutoring 24/7. And you just tell us what you need, and basically we're there to help you out. So that was the original goal of the company, was to provide online tutoring. And initially we just focused on math for K-12 students and so on. And then now we've broadened it to include English language arts, writing, reading, and those kinds of things. And the last time I was there, by the way, we've now successfully tutored over 50,000 students in the history of the company. And working with school districts in the state of California, other states, and so on, our success rate has been really, really good. Now, I work for the company as a volunteer. I've never gotten a paycheck. I retired in 2006, and I discovered the potential that this company had, our product had, to help kids.
Incredible.
And so I just got really excited about it, but I didn't want to be tied down. And so I just said I'll help this company as a volunteer. So I've been the vice president for educational programs now for 13 years, and I'm still very, very excited and enthusiastic about what the company has been able to accomplish and some new products that we're bringing out.
Now, how do you guys contrast from like tutorial videos on YouTube? Is this more interactive?
Right. Well, if it's live tutoring, then, my primary job has been recruiting, training, monitoring our tutors. And by the way, we're still looking for more tutors. So if any of our listeners happen to be retired teachers or people who are stay-at-home moms or dads or something like that, I think there's contact information on the screen, and you can get in touch with us. And then I have a tutor training manual that I will email to you, and you can go through that. It takes a couple of hours to work through that. It's not something you just read and so on, but rather I tell you to go online and then do this, do that, and so on. And so you really need to practice. And then when you think that you are prepared, then I give about a 3-hour online training where I check you out to see, did you learn to do the things, to use the various features of the website. It's called the virtual classroom. Okay. And anyway, so we are still recruiting or continuing to recruit people. Matter of fact, we got a person who came to us through ZipRecruiter.
Okay.
I was trading her, and I said, "How did you find us?" And she said, she used ZipRecruiter. So anyway, and I guess we've used Craigslist and a variety of other means to just kind of get the word out that we're looking for people to tutor. Now, our main office is here in Fresno, 2121 Merced Street, but we also have an office in Glendale. So we have opened offices in Texas and Florida and so on as there was a demand for that.
All right, great. So you have some new stuff to present to us. What do you have here?
Yes, we do. So the newest thing that we have is this digital audio workshop or workstation music curriculum. And we're bringing this out. The target demographic here sounds a little strange, I guess, are court schools and juvenile detention centers and so on, because we were trying to think what would be kind of a common hook where we could, where these students would be interested in doing something with this.
Yeah.
And most of these students, they've made some poor decisions in one thing or another. They're incarcerated. They have time on their hands and so on. And so we thought music would be a good thing that they could do. And everybody wants to be, well, whether you want to be Rihanna or Beyonce or something like that. I mean, I'm sure that there might be some people who are in prison who, have a nice voice and could do that. But what we're really looking for is marketable skills. And so what this course is, it's really a course. Level 1 is digital audio rhythm. And I think it's up on your screen. About 20 hours to complete this. It's all online, and you can do it with a computer, a laptop, a tablet, basically any device that will connect to the internet. You can do this on. Now, if you used a smartphone, what is on the screen you're actually using a mixer. And so on. And so with your mouse, you can move the lever, the controls up and down, and one thing and another. Then level 2 is digital audio melody and harmony. And so here you're learning to. Oh, by the way, the rhythm thing, we're teaching fractions there because you have a whole note and then a half note, a quarter note, an eighth note, 16th, and one thing another.
Yeah.
I don't know that we do well. There's rhythms where you have like 3/4 time, and and triplets and that kind of thing. So consequently, there's a lot of mathematics that gets brought into this, as well as they have to read the directions and so on. So there's reading and vocabulary that comes along here,
which
as well.
is basically math for tactile learners, the people
Exactly.
that need that hands-on experience.
Exactly. And then level 3, this is the payoff. This is live audio effects mixing and mastering. And take a look. It says intro to live audio recording, composing lyrics, mixing live audio with digital audio, so on. Intro to audio effects, intro to mixing and mastering, then sharing student complete composition being SoundCloud or other platforms. So the idea here is that the students come out, they have the skill that they could actually mix a YouTube video or a music video and so on that could go viral.
Exactly.
And that would be their way to fame and fortune.
Absolutely. And a lot of times it's the hopelessness, that voice that says you're never going anywhere, you're nothing. You know, that when people listen to that voice, unfortunately, they end up in bad places in life, right?
Right.
And so you guys are taking those kids that have ended up in probation and saying, no, there's something, there's resource.
And hopefully, there's their knowledge of contemporary music, pop music, and one thing or another.
Yeah.
Whatever whether it's hip hop or rap or anything like that, that that they know this because they listen to it a lot. And then the question is, can they sit down and then figure out, how to put something unique together? As a matter of fact, I was reading I subscribe to several educational blog sites and so on. This one thing came out that says, can you teach creativity? And my answer to that, for quite a few years, I was, for 6 years, I was the California State Director of the Odyssey of the Mind program, which is a creative problem-solving competition for kids from kindergarten through college. And, I'm convinced that you can teach creativity. But my concern is that many of our younger teachers today, they grew up through the No Child Left Behind, teach to the test. And many times, teachers, you teach the way you were taught. So these teachers now, they've never experienced an open-ended kind of a situation. Maybe they were encouraged to write poetry, but I don't think poetry writing was ever tested.
Wow.
And so I think that there is a bit of a barrier there. In the mid-'90s, I was invited to go to China. I was in Shanghai, China, to give a series of talks about creativity because the Chinese were very interested in, the United States were very creative and innovative and one thing and another. And Chinese, the education there goes back centuries. Right? They invented gunpowder, and they have a long history of doing stuff. But right now, under the current government and so on, it's things are very regimented. And so I was delighted to have the opportunity to talk to the educators there and so on about what do you do to try to encourage kids to think out of the box. But the thing is that
what a great opportunity!
I did a Q&A there, and the questions were really surprising to me. One question I got was, in the U.S., do you have a problem with stationery? And I'm thinking, do we have a shortage of paper? and so I asked it to explain. And at that time in Shanghai, anyway, children for the first time were able to get erasers in the shape of animals. So you could have an eraser that looked like a lion or a leopard or a zebra or something or other. And this teacher was very concerned about that because before that time it had been very rigid. All erasers had been little rectangular, erasers like we had, growing up and so on. But I think we also had things in shapes of animals. In any event, so the question, he posed his question, he found it troubling that the children were now wasting their time arguing whether my zebra was better than your lion or something or other, taking time away from being focused on, distraction, exactly right. And so I had to be very careful in my answer answer, because if I agreed with him that everything should be standardized, I immediately undercut everything that I said about how you encourage creativity. On the other hand, I could tell if I said, oh, don't be silly, then I would, he would then think that I didn't know what I was talking about.
Right.
So in my answer, I spent some time talking about how I understood that when you're used to having everything be very traditional and very standardized and so on, that that there was more focus on doing the things the normal way. But I said, if you really want children to be able to look at things in new and different ways, that then you had to be open, not necessarily accepting, but you had to be open to the fact that maybe it was not a bad thing. To be able to discuss. I mean, what makes my zebra better than your lion, or something or other,
right.
and that would encourage discussion. It would take away maybe from that particular teacher's lesson. But I see us in the kind of the same box now today in the United States, that these people who go into teaching. Why do you go into teaching? Well, sometimes they go to college and one thing or other, and they just think, well, their own experience in high school or elementary school, was something they were comfortable with, and so they're comfortable going to college for 4 or 5 years, and then they want to go out and do to their students what was done to them. And I think that's we need to open up their minds and so on. So how we do that, I'm not exactly sure. But I responded to this article, and I simply said, some of us, older guys, let us help you figure out what we want to do here.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's the. This, and I got to get the name right. It's Digital Audio Workstation, this music curriculum, which I'm really excited about. Mm-hmm. And of course, this is part of the LOTUS, LOTUS, that stands for Learning Online Through Universal Systems. Mm-hmm. And this is basically a tablet-based curriculum. Last time I was here, I mentioned there's a local district with 22 schools that's adopted this, mm-hmm. and now I can say it's Central Unified School District.
Incredible.
Wow. What I'm really excited about is that when you implement something in the classroom, mm-hmm. then the teachers need to understand what it does. And to me, the most powerful aspect of this is if you have a class of 35 or so children, and now it's adaptive technology. So mm-hmm. as a result, if you happen to be good at math, then it'll ask you questions. You get them right. It keeps asking you harder questions until you miss something. And then it'll bang it a couple more times and maybe back off and ask any. So the computer figures out, okay, this is where you are. This is your level,
okay. And
then it will, give you more exercises and questions until you master that, and then you continue on. Now, if you're not good at math and you're, behind, then it will ask easier questions until, again, it determines, where you are.
But it assesses exactly where your
right.
Where
so
your need
it
is.
Figures out, where your need is. So now you can have. I was a high school teacher for a number of years, and so you have some kids that are struggling a bit, and some kids who are pushing the envelope, and some who are kind of in the middle. So you come in with a lesson that hopefully will challenge your better kids, yet not completely frustrate the kids who are behind. Mm-hmm. But you have to try to do something that's going to keep all 30-some students occupied.
Yeah.
With this, I can hand out these tablets. And so now all the kids can be working, and as a teacher, what I like about this is the reporting feature. So the teacher on her tablet can take a look, and there's a chart there that shows what every kid is doing. Mm-hmm. And the kids who are working are green, and then those kids who have stopped working or not making any progress, then it turns red. Yeah. And so then she can go over and she can help the kids who either they're frustrated or they just want to goof off. And so she can focus her attention on the kids who need her help during class. Now, if the family has internet at home, when they go home, they can continue to work. They'll have assignments that they need to do and so on at home.
Right.
If they don't have internet at home, the student can still turn the tablet on, can still work, and then when he comes back to school the next day, all that is uploaded online and so on. So then the server computer knows what the student did at night, and it keeps track how much time has the student spent on math or English or whatever the topic is. And then the thing is, the principal of the school, he can track what's happening in different classrooms. The superintendent can track what's happening in different schools and so on. So assessment and determining whether or not this is really cost effective or not, they have the data right there.
Wow. Data, it's organized, it's pointing people in the right direction. That's
absolutely cool
technology.
Absolutely.
Wow,
and we're simply trying to help students, and So if you're a kid who's below grade level and you're working on this and so on, and you're learning and you're learning, you get caught up. I mean, what could be better than that?
Absolutely. We're running out of time, Brad, but
Okay.
I do want to hear about the event that you mentioned.
Oh yes, hopefully they can put that up. Yeah, in college I sang in the Bach B minor Mass, and it was a highlight of my choral experience. And when I learned that the Fresno Master Chorale was going to be doing this, usually I'm busy enough that I
don't have the time.
I don't sing in groups normally, but
Okay.
anyway, I called up and I was auditioned, and so now I'm one of the people singing the Bach
for you.
Mass in B minor, and it's coming up April 30th. It's 2:30 in the afternoon. It's a Sunday afternoon at the Sheboygan Concert Hall at Clovis North, and the tickets are only $25. And somebody might say $25. I mean, that's a lot, but in San Francisco you'd probably pay $100 or more to hear this piece.
It's about the price of a good steak at a restaurant. You could sacrifice a steak for Bach.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, it's full orchestra, soloists. I mean, nationally known soloists are going to be there and so on. I mean,
This is where the concert hall is. Where?
It's a Sheboygan Concert Hall
Okay.
at Clovis North campus.
Wonderful. Well, so good to have you on the show again,
Well,
and I
thank
always
you.
love to hear from you.
Right. Well, again, what we're doing is exciting stuff, and hopefully the listeners, viewers, and so on will be able to make use of this information.
Yeah, I hope you come back because there's so much I'd like to ask you again. But thanks again, Brad. It was great having you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, we'll be right back.